For generations, there's been this almost sacred path, a journey that the brightest minds from all over the world have taken, all leading to one place, a professional life in the United States. It was never just about paperwork or visas. For so many, it was the American dream made real.
It's a story so many people know by heart, especially if you're a student or a professional from a place like India. It was almost a formula. You come for an education, you get invaluable experience, and you build a career. A clear, reliable pipeline that didn't just shape lives, it fueled American innovation.
So let's break it down. How did this classic journey actually work? Well, it all kicked off with the F1 student visa. That was your ticket into an American university. After you graduated, you'd move on to what's called OPT, Optional Practical Training. And this part is absolutely critical for getting that first real-world job experience. And then, the final, most important step, landing that H1B visa. That was the bridge to a real, long-term career, and maybe even a green card down the road. But just imagine for a second, what if that entire journey, that trusted pathway that has been the foundation for countless success stories, was suddenly about to be wiped off the map? What if the bridge was about to be completely demolished? Well, that isn't just a what-if anymore. That possibility is at the very heart of a new bill making its way through the U.S. Congress. And we are not talking about small adjustments here. This is a proposal that threatens to rip up the entire blueprint. And here it is. As detailed in outlets like the Indian Express, the proposal is called the End H1B Visa Abuse Act of 2026. And, with a name like that, it's not exactly subtle about its goals. It represents a total, radical rethinking of how America attracts the best and brightest. Let's be super clear here. We are not talking about tweaking a few rules. Immigration lawyers are calling this nothing less than a near total reset of the entire system. It's a fundamental challenge to a framework that's been the status quo for decades. So what exactly is in this thing? All right, let's get into the specifics of this bill. And honestly, some of these terms are just shocking. Okay, just look at what's being proposed. First up, a complete 3-year pause on all new H-1B visas. Gone. Next, they want to get rid of the OPT program entirely. That critical step for students to get experience? Also gone. It also wants to ban the transition to a green card and slash the total number of visas available each year. Any one of these would be a huge deal. All of them together, it's an earthquake. And then there's the money. The bill throws up this huge financial wall, a new minimum salary of $200,000 for an H-1B visa holder. I mean, that's a massive leap that would immediately disqualify tons of people just starting their careers, not to mention academics and even doctors. And if you thought that was high, hold on. The proposal also floats the idea of replacing the current visa lottery with a system based purely on wages, setting the minimum salary at an eye-watering $300,000. The idea is to attract only the highest paid talent, but critics are pointing out that this would shut the door on huge parts of the skilled workforce, from scientists to engineers to architects. So you have to be asking, why, right? Why on earth would anyone propose something so drastic? And this is where you really see how divided the country is on what skilled immigration should even look like. Okay, so on one side of the argument, you have proponents who say the current system is just broken. They claim it's outdated, that it's being abused by bad actors, and that it's used to undercut American workers. But on the other side, the alarm bells are ringing loud and clear. Opponents warrant that this bill would tear down an economic pipeline that the U.S. has relied on for 3 decades, crippling its ability to compete for global talent and creating total chaos for people already here. But here's a dose of political reality. Is a bill like this actually meant to become law? Well, according to Houston-based immigration attorney Rahul Reddy, maybe not. He suggests that sometimes proposals this extreme are introduced as political messaging, a way to fire up a specific base of voters, because actually passing major immigration law is incredibly difficult. But whether it passes or not, just the idea of this bill is already causing, well, a global ripple effect. The shockwaves are being felt far beyond the halls of Congress, affecting individuals, companies, and even entire countries. Just think about the dominoes that could fall. You could have thousands of skilled workers literally forced to pack up and leave, causing a massive brain drain. What about the big companies that need that talent? They might just move the jobs overseas. And for students thinking about where to study, suddenly Canada, the UK, and Australia start looking a whole lot better, and that very expensive American education seems like a huge gamble. And perhaps the most troubling part of all this is what it means for people who have been following the rules, in some cases for years and years. As attorney Rajiv Khanna points out, if you suddenly change the rules for people who are already waiting patiently in the green card queue, well, that starts to look pretty unfair, and it could even raise serious constitutional questions about due process.
But, and this is a really big but, actually challenging a law like this in court is incredibly difficult. As a general rule, if Congress passes a bill and it's signed into law, the courts are very, very hesitant to get involved. The bar for a successful legal challenge is exceptionally high.
So when you put it all together, it's pretty clear that the United States is standing at a fundamental crossroads. This isn't just about visas. It's a debate that gets to the very heart of the country's identity as a global magnet for talent and ambition. The path that was once so clear, so reliable, is now completely clouded by doubt. And it really leaves us all with one big, powerful question. If you fundamentally change the blueprint for the American dream, will the world's best and brightest still think it's worth chasing?